Hi friends, welcome to the Wild Side. I'm Steve Hall. More than a century ago, outdoor recreation wasn't really a choice, it was a way of life. It certainly wasn't for recreation. In many cases, it was simply a matter of survival. At Bledsoe Creek State Park, the History Trail gives visitors a chance to walk the same path as Native Americans and early settlers who literally lived off the land and sometimes died trying to stay there.
Look at there.
So I'm lucky enough to be associated with the Middle Tennessee History Coalition, just a group of people that are very passionate about history, particularly Tennessee history. You've got a lot of historical impact in the area, so we wanted to get a trail and just be able to set up things that happened in Tennessee history and what those things might have looked like, smelt like, felt like.
So the Tennessee History Trail covers history from 1500 to 1800, and that encompasses pre-contact Native Americans.
When I went to school, they didn't talk about our history at all. We were like maybe a paragraph. I think this is a good way to teach. This is my favorite method of teaching because it's experiential and it's hands-on, and I can tell our story that's not being told.
History is breezed over in schools, and there's some legitimate reasons for that. I'm not attacking the academic community. So we try to provide a little bit more of a personal glimpse, not the names and the dates and the places, but rather if you were here in 1780 or in 1542, what would your life be like?
I love it. I love teaching. I love talking about history, especially to the kids.
So I have to keep turning this so that it won't burn.
My sister's cooking, which is what she likes to do. I arrange and organize things, so that's what I'm doing. And my little brother is talking about things for the hunt. He's getting ready for the hunts.
The wolf is the best hunter of all the animals. So what I'm doing is channeling my inner wolf, my hunter spirit. I'm channeling the wolf spirit in order to be a better hunter, be a more successful hunter.
Women primarily took care of agriculture and distribution of food. They were responsible for, it depends actually on the culture, but on this side of the Mississippi, in general, it's matriarchal. So they're the ones who keep track of who's who, the children get named. They're the ones who appoint the male counselors to the primary government, and they keep an eye on things like that because people are more willing to talk to their grandmother than their grandfather. Tattooing was very common in the Southeast up to a point. These tattoos are based upon effigy pots from the Mississippian period. They refer to the raven. This is rain and thunder and lightning, so hardship.
What we try to do is show early Middle Tennessee's history chronologically. And so we'll start out like what I do with pre-contact natives. And then we'll go to Hernando de Soto, who wasn't actually here, but he was in Tennessee. In 1541, he did come to Tennessee. It's probably more like Tullahoma.
By our standard, he was a barbarian. He gave no quarter. He went into Indian villages. If they gave him what he wanted, great. If not, he took it.
So the halberd was a very deadly weapon, especially if you're fighting like naked natives. But you could stab like a normal spear, but you could also cut with it. Like this is like a sharp blade, like an axe, so you can make swings. And you'd have the force, you could literally lop off an arm with that blade.
Contact with Europeans, which we represent with Hernando de Soto, the most tangible result of that, aside from disease and strife, which the natives suffered through, was trade with Europeans. So we have a fur trade cabin down there. Our cabin just is a general representation of a fur trade cabin. We know in 1710, a Frenchman named Charleville set up a cabin in what is now Nashville. The historical record shows that when the settlers came in 1780, there was remains of a cabin still there even at that time.
By the time you get to 1750, these men that lived in this cabin, you've got two Europeans in the middle of an Indian nation, and if they're not nice to us and we don't like them, what are the odds of them making it home? 0. So we got along. We liked each other. Not to mention they had stuff we wanted, we had stuff they wanted. The first clash with Europeans is this thing called land ownership. I owned from that fence all the way to the lake, and you cannot walk anywhere near that anymore. And in my mind, I'm going, Who decided that you could make that decision? What gives you the power to make that decision? Because my people have been walking from here to the lake for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years with no problem. And now all of a sudden, because you say so, we can't?
Long hunters came out here to hunt deer. It was a commercial enterprise, and at the time, a deer skin was really the only currency the native people had with Europeans. So the long hunters come out here to hunt the deer. They're essentially taking money out of the native people's hands. The native people relied on European goods by this time, and the only way they could get them was by trading deer skins and furs and pelts and things of that nature. So that's why there was a little bit of antagonism between the two groups. Everyone that lived out here, everyone that came out here even temporarily, had to know the outdoors, had to know how to survive off the land. This is just a general representation of what a settlement might have been between 1780 and 1800. That's hard to do, right, because it's a large span of time, but it's just to represent what life was like for people that came out here and had to carve a life out of the wilderness, if you will.
Uh-oh, here we go, hey!
It creates a little bit more of a personal connection to history, and hopefully through that connection people get more interested in history, and we have more people that want to study history.
And it's a good draw for the park. A lot of people come and camp in the park to try to be on deck for this when it's happening. We've got a couple paved trails that are ADA accessible. So we've got a lot to offer, even though we're small acreage by comparison. Where we're positioned, it lends itself to not a lot of hunting going on and that kind of thing. So the deer are almost like pets, you know, they're very, very tame.
Bledsoe Creek State Park has been extremely gracious to us and open up and allowing us to do this here.
The goal is to have a permanent structure at every interpretive station. We still haven't figured out exactly what that will be everywhere, because if we have that along with some interpretive signage, we're educating people even when we're not here. They can see what we've built, they can read the interpretive signage and hopefully glean a little bit of history.
Our website, wildsidetv.com, will guide you to more information about Bledsoe Creek State Park. Volunteers with the Middle Tennessee History Coalition hope to build more permanent displays so visitors can enjoy the history trail all year long.
Wildside is produced by Rockwater TV with support from Tennessee State Parks, where you can discover our state's diverse heritage through spectacular landscapes, family-friendly recreation, and affordable lodging. Tennessee State Parks, fun and adventure naturally. And with support from the Tennessee Department of Agriculture, promoting wise uses of Tennessee's agricultural and forest resources to develop economic opportunities and to ensure safe and dependable food, fuel, and fiber for all citizens.